All right. Hey, everybody. It's Sunday evening for those on the East Coast. It's 4 o'clock out here on the Pacific world. And it's March 16th, 2025. Wow. What a week. A lot going on. So we're going to walk through some charts. I did look at VPU. We'll talk about that one for sure. But ultimately, this is going to be really, really pivotal week. And I'll show you why. First off, I've decided, JC's let me do this, which is great. His whole team's amazing. We're going to start a book of the week or book of the month club. Here's the book. Go get this one. It's called The Lost Octave. It'll blow your mind. It's pretty amazing. Lost Octave. And it might even help explain what's going on. So I'll just table this one right here. All right, let's get to it. So what do we got going on, man? What a week. It was a really crazy week. So, I don't even know how to describe it. It was one of those weeks where you're just like, what was really going on? Okay. First off, I'm not going to look at the Dow. I'll look at the ES live here in a little bit. I'm not going to look at the NASDAQ or the S&P. We're going to keep looking at the New York Stock Exchange Index. First off, do you guys see what I see? It was perfect, folks. ABCD. I mean, look at this puppy. Right on a 50% retracement. Bam, bam, bam. The thing we need to really pay attention to is I didn't move the angle of these arrows, did I? It was a perfect price in time convergence. And look at that candle. Not very bearish, is it, folks? Right? We could see this one coming a mile away. I'm going to take actually a look at an ETF called ITB, and it'll give you a really good picture of what was going on. So we nailed it, ABCD. Now, if you think we have another leg down, then we're going to be looking to short this, right? If you're a penultimate bull, which you probably should be looking at what's happened since 2009, that's 16 years straight up, folks, really. There's been some big corrections, right? Almost 30% at times. But ultimately, they've led to higher highs. So all I can say right now is we don't want to break the low of 18,840 on the New York Stock Exchange Index, right? We don't want to break that. The whole concept of these price projections they're actually cycle finders, right? So look at that candle off of that low. Big deal, folks, right? So that's our line in the sand right now with the New York Stock Exchange Index. For now, we've just had a normal ABCD correction. In Elliott wave parlance, that's a flat correction. And we're in a bull market, folks. We could be heading off to new highs, okay? Keep that in mind as we go through these charts. So our big picture, remember, is this red line here. That's if you weren't here last week or the week prior, that's our 1-by-1 trend line from the all-time low of the New York Stock Exchange Index. That was October 3rd, 1974, and that's approximately 18,442 days ago. That's this red line. So each calendar day move, we go up 1 point. 1 day, 1 point. That's a 45-degree trend line. That's that red line. For me, this bull market stays intact as long as we keep above this red line. Now, we can go through it, but I'm looking for a weekly close below it. Here was one, but it snapped back, right? Maybe even a monthly close below it. Remember, we've been going pretty much straight up for 16 years. It is definitely time for a correction. A 30% correction is not that big of a deal in context of where we've been and where we're going. So keep that in mind. Right now, folks, we just did a normal flat correction, and we could be off to new highs. 18,840 is my line in the sand. All right. What else do we got going? Well, we got the yen, right? And we were talking about yen strength has not necessarily been great for equities. Yen's been going down, stock market's been going down. And I want people to understand too, right? You might not be looking at the foreign currency markets. We talked about them last week. If you take a look at the, let's just say the Bitcoin, right? You take a look at the cryptocurrencies, right? And there's a lot of talk about that, right? The currency market's almost 100 times bigger on a daily volume. It's massive. So really, the global macro moves that are occurring they're going to be showing in currency moves first. The yen is a big one. When the yen gets stronger, in this case, when the chart's going down, right? So this is a US yen, it's a daily chart. So as the chart went up, the dollar was getting stronger against the yen. And as the chart goes down, the yen is getting stronger. Our thesis, again, notice 1.618 was the high. It's very trippy, folks, I know. Is that's a big top. And so I'm looking for yen strength across the board. But we found what looks like pretty good support, right? So we're at 148, a rally to 152 or 154, not out of the cards. That is not bearish for stocks, right? So I know at the end of last week when we were talking about it, I was like, hey, I think we might rally. Well, we actually went down one more thump and then we started rallying, right? And we'll go over the XLP NYA here in a second, okay? What do we got? Hey, Bart, thanks for... Oh, Saratoga. Hey, by the way, Ray, my wife's from Skinny Atlas, New York. So hopefully that's up with you, up close to you. So what I was really looking at, though, was this 144, 145 area. You can see this is a 0.618 price projection. So when I go down here and then I go up and I project, I'm coming right in here. I really wanted to go down to here because that would have been a good move. Ultimately, this is our initial test all the way down at 136. So if the yen's going to get that much stronger, it will provide some headwinds to the stock market. But right now, certainly looks like we might have found some support for a rally. I'll be watching, obviously, this measured move right here. But ultimately, looks like the yen, might have found a little bit of support for the dollar to rally up against it. Ultimately, I think we have a lot lower to go, which I do think will put some pressure on the stocks. But keep an eye on this. Yeah, we've got a bounce going, but what we really want to make sure is we basically stay, let's just say, stay above 144, 143 on the US dollar yen. And that will keep us in more of a bullish mindset with regards to stocks, all right? And then we go to the 10-year, right? Because what I'm trying to do is they all move the same, you guys. You got your fixed income, you got your commodities, you got your FX, and you got your equities, right? They all kind of move the same. And so we want to understand this balance. I call it the circle of life, when they're moving, when they're not, right? So, I mean, I've told you about my Elliott wave counting. It's like my golf game. I really mean that. But ultimately, this looks pretty good that this is up 1, down 2, right? And then we go 1, 2, and then look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3. ABC 4, 5, that's wave 3. So wave 4, maybe down here, but ultimately, I'm seeing interest rates go higher. What does that mean? We could have a 6-year percentage on the, and remember, that's just the first wave up or the A wave on interest rates. Think about our debt, think about servicing, think about emerging markets. Climbing interest rates, it's going to be very difficult. So again, there's headwinds appearing, but we might not be done yet with this bull run. So keep an eye on that. I personally, just to let you know, I've been long TBT. I've been long TBD since the low teens. I'm still long it. And I probably might take the profit ultimately if we get up to 6 here on the interest rates. But I'm seeing interest rates go up, folks. Don't know any business courses. Don't know economics courses. I'm just looking at the charts. Feeling pretty good about that count, okay? This is a big one, and we talked about it. If you remember, last week I actually had buy stocks. Well, the depth of the sell-off and everything is like, you know what, this will probably be support. So if you're massively bullish, yeah, we're going to want to buy here. But if you think it's going to take a couple weeks to a month or so to shake this thing out, then I would expect stocks to find support. Now, what I missed, I'll be honest with you, and I told you that last week, I'll just tell you like it is, when I get it right, when I get it wrong. I missed this one. So trader's tip, kind of like a thing that I always look for, is this last plunging low into the low is very important. And what you want to do is you want to do extensions off of that. And as you can see here, bam, it smacked right into the 127. Square root of 1.618, musical theory, square root of the length and 1 over the square root of extensions equal to the frequency of a string. Square roots and 1 over them are inverses are a very big deal. And then you look at this polarity. I kind of saw it coming, folks. I got bit off that this is a big sell-off occurring. And I thought it would go all the way up to here. It's smacked into here. But the one thing I want us to look at, remember up here, this is a daily. So there were 4 days prior to this low coming in that it was showing that a low was going to come in, because this ratio of XLP over the NYA wasn't making new highs. And again, XLP is staples. When the shit hits the fan, these big institutions, they still need to be invested, right? So they're going to buy toilet paper. They're going to buy toothpaste. They're going to buy staples, things that you need to live. So that means what? It means the numerator is outperforming the denominator, which is the NYA, the overall stock market, right? So as the chart goes down, it means the entire kind of stock market is more what? It's more stronger, which means what? It's more risk off, which means what? The big guys and gals, they're investing. When the market starts to, when the ratio starts to go up, it means, the XLP is starting to outperform. The numerator is bigger than the denominator. And what does that mean? Maybe a little bit of risk off. So this whole move higher is like, okay, making sense. I really wanted to go up here. Why? Well, look, we've got the blue arrow. The blue arrow has been responsible for everything. Quite frankly, I missed the orange. There's the move right there. See this guy right here? There's the move right there. So it totally makes sense. So I'm expecting this to come down to about here. And then the ratio should find support, which means what? Equity should find resistance. So this next week, I'm putting in more of a bullish mindset that we should rally. We'll see. But this right here is bullish. Okay, folks? When it finds support and starts back up, that's when we might want to try to ease back a little bit. The big thing I'm looking at is this whole area here. Last week, as we talked about it, this blue measured move is found all over the place. This is a 382 from that high, right? So stocks should find good support, if not a really good buying opportunity, if we can get up higher here. So for now, this coming week, I'm giving myself a slant towards we're going to rally. We'll get to it in a second. It's really hard because we've had 5 waves down. So is this a C wave that's finished, or are we going to go up in a B wave and then we come down? Ultimately, I'm going to be looking to buy this. I don't think anything's changed from a bullish market perspective. There's people who said this is the top. This is the top for years. I'm not there yet. Again, I'm watching that red line. I'm watching this red line here, folks. This right here is key for everything for me. Does it bounce off it? How quickly does it slice through it? Does it just gap over it and go down, right? 1x1 trend lines, the 45-degree trend line, the GAN 1x1, whatever you want to call it. This is equal to a point and price per day since the all-time low in 1974, which is what, 50 years ago. That's what I'm watching, okay? I'm also watching this area. If we blow through here, yeah, things are going to get a little ugly. But right now, I'm seeing this as a normal correction in an ongoing bull market, okay? What do we got? Anybody? Hey, Riley, what's up, dude? This is great. You guys are awesome. What's up, Michael? All right, I haven't really looked at crude. I'll have to take a look at it, okay? Cool. All right, some fun stuff going on here. All right, this was another one that, if you remember last week, we compared the yen versus the financials, right? And we showed that when the yen starts to outperform XLF, in this case, the financials, there have been major tops, and vice versa. There's been major bottoms. We showed this line in the sand, and it exploded off it. And I was like, ruh-roh. But look at the candle that's happened. Again, this is a weekly, right? So longer term. This isn't an hourly chart. This is a weekly chart. So it kind of faded out, didn't it? Remember, we have this target here too. So as we're playing around these levels here, I think it's time to be neutral, right? It's time to be cautious. But ultimately, we could have another leg down, which will mean what? We'll vacuum higher. And again, this is our target here, 2.746 on the ratio. And then ultimately, we're way down here too, right? So again, we're kind of in no man's land. I know that sounds crazy, but ultimately, this is a huge ratio to pay attention to. And like I said, the last thing is, remember all these projections we do, right? So here's where I did the projection from. I did it here. Oh, sorry, let me go back. I did it here to here to here. And then here's the 0.618 price projection. Look how nothing is closed above it. Isn't that amazing? And then here's the equality projection right here. What happens? It goes right up. And if you remember last time I said, always remember where these levels are, because it likes to, if it slices through it, what's it like to do? It likes to come back and tag it. Exactly what we did here, right? So these are key levels. So watch and start working. I've been working with Rick on the research team about projections. You want to know where these levels are, because ultimately it likes to go back to them, right? So right now, this is our line in the sand. We can call it this, but right now, this is our line in the sand. We blow through here, this market could go very much higher. You always want to pay attention to, obviously, 1.618 extensions. But for now, this support that we hit on Friday makes sense, folks, okay? And it's kind of just the normal type of projections and corrections that we have in an ongoing bull market. We do have some headwinds, but right now I'm not seeing anything that tells me that much has changed, okay? So we're going to spend a little bit of time here on ITB. It's a home construction. Again, since 2009, I like to call them stair steps. We're going to look at the chart here in a second. But look at these stair steps, stair step, stair step, stair step, stair step. We broke a swing low, okay, but stair step, right? We've just been stair stepping all the way up. And what did we have this last time on ITB? We had the exact same price and time correction. And that's this triangle, right? Copy, paste, look at that. Normal correction, folks, right? So what else do we have with ITB? And I sent this over to some of the research guys. Again, Elliott Wave helps learn the corrections, but Elliott Wave's like my golf game, right? So here's the largest corrective move that we talked about right here, right? Copy, paste. Now look, I used it here and here, right? I'm like, okay, is it here or is it here? Don't know, right? And we did some work on September 19th and October 21st, but look at this count, folks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 1 equals 5. And then we did just a static cycle, static cycle timer here to here to here. And it came right in when? The same corrective move. We have the 1.618 price projection, price extension here. Wave 1 equals wave 5. We have bullish divergence, bounce imminent, right? So here's where I have a tough time with it, right? Is I think this is a big, don't think it hurts the team, but I do think that this is a big top, okay, in home construction. And we finished 5 wave down. So that means we're either in wave 1 or an A wave. So we got a B wave coming, or wave 2, right? And then we roll over and we should do a 3rd wave or a C wave. My big thing is, a lot of times we want to look at what happens before this 5 wave move down and see if we've got a B wave, right? Does the ITB lead and the other sectors follow? I don't know, Joe, honestly. I don't know. We could look at it from that perspective, but ultimately what I really want to see is if it fails in this rally. Because what I'm trying to do here is see is this a B wave higher? Because if that is, this is bullish. This was a C wave correction and off we go higher. I don't know right now where we're at. But what I can tell you is this is definitely a position of support. And when we look at it from a bigger picture, here's log scale, okay? And you can always tell by the right. See how they're not equally distant? That's how you can tell there's a log scale. And the reason I wanted to do that was this move to this move, right? Is this gray move. And then what did we do? We repeated it. And then I'm showing you the harmonics, 0.618. Remember, 0.618179, 1.68179 is actually a musical note. I think it's F and the equal octave scale of music. And if we subtract 1 from it, we get 0.68179, just like 1.618 minus 1 equals 0.618. So look at the harmony. this move, and oh, by the way, this move are all harmonically equal. That's what we're always looking for, right? But polarity is so huge, right? So I did this on log scale, but you can see right here, resistance equals support, support equals resistance. We're bouncing off of this. So in my mind, ITB, it's a long, but is it going to make it all the way up to 130 bucks? That is the question. That's $1 million question. I'm expecting it to roll over one more time, but I just wanted to show you guys how it's happening. Here's another one, Nvidia, right? And again, it's a daily chart. I sent this actually over to JC the day prior. This is, let's just walk through Nvidia, right? Okay, not really one, a little bit, right? If we just keep going back and looking at Nvidia, this is the first time it's had structurally an ABCD correction. HMN Gartley, the 222, it's on page 222. I learned that from Larry. In a bull market, you got to buy the ABCD. A, B, C, D. Not only was it an ABCD in price, but look at the angle of the arrow. It was exact in time. And we had a ton of ratios coming together. By the way, that 382 is from the all-time low. But we also had the exact same corrective move. And I just throw an RSI in there again, folks. I just throw it on there to get a look. Support, 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 right? I mean, this was a buy. And we know what's happened, right? But here's where I really want to, I'm not going to do my golf game on you guys, but I'm okay with Elliott Wave, but work with me here, okay? First off, I'm going to tell you right now, I think Nvidia is going to new highs, okay? Here's why. So it cruised for a long time, right? 2000 to 2018. And remember that whole concept, length of the base equals height of the move. Could go a lot higher. But it cruised here for a long time. And then we popped up, we got 1, 2. Okay? Working with me, folks? So now look at this. So now we go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. Folks, kind of Ray Charles is. I'm calling that a wave 3. It's a guideline. It's not a rule. It likes to correct down to what? The vicinity of the fourth wave of lesser degree. We just completed a perfect time and price pattern. Look at that hammer. I think we want to be along Nvidia up to maybe $161.80. I don't know, but I think we're starting another leg higher in Nvidia, a wave 5. Now, wrong below the low. All right. But folks, what am I missing here? Work with me. Help me. This sure looks like Nvidia is about to make a new high, which should help out the semiconductor index. Will the semiconductor index blow through that ABCD that I was talking about earlier? I don't know. But let's go back here. Folks, it doesn't get any better than that. That was a beautiful buy in an ongoing bull market. So we don't want to lose 104 to 106. All right. Big deal. Right. And people could say, oh, that was low. No, it was a measured move. It was a perfect price and time. Look at this. Look at this geometry of the trend line. I mean, it didn't get any better than that. So this is our line in the sand for Nvidia. If we take out this low and continue lower, then this being a wave 3 top is probably wrong. But for now, that was an amazing buy for Nvidia. Okay, folks? Pretty crazy, huh? I mean, what am I missing here? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, wave 3. A, B, C, D, we did the correction, vicinity of wave 4. Looks good to me. Let's go. New highs in Nvidia. This one is going to cause a lot of consternation. Copper, silver, and gold are at tremendously important inflection points. The patterns, not me. I'm just telling you what I see for the patterns, right, folks? The patterns are saying that copper is a sell. Yep, that is a sell pattern. The patterns are saying that silver is a sell. There, I'll show you, that is a sell pattern. And the patterns are saying that gold is a sale. Again, remember Nvidia, I talked about it last week when semiconductor index, I think it was July, was making the huge ABCD from the all-time low. Hey guys, I'm just calling it like I'm just telling you we have sell patterns across these 3 critical metals. If they blow through them, which the sentiment, the feel, the energy says they will, then they're off to the races, but not yet, okay? So copper's a sell. If you're going to short it, we're out by 5.1, let's say, okay? But that's a beautiful sell on copper. Silver. You guys want a trippy little journey down memory lane? Go to Bart's Charts, silver following the script. Again, you're just teaching your eye, right? What I saw was this mirror image fold back. So this point right here. And what happens is the price comes in and it comes out in the same way. And so what caught my eye was this high, this high, this high, this high, this high, this high. But what really caught it was this was the exact same corrective move down. So it's like, holy smokes, we're about to parabolically explode. And so it's all captured in silver following the script. And here's the other thing you'll get from me, guys, is I'll never do or if I do, I'll say, hey, I'm doing it. Coulda, woulda, shoulda, right? All this stuff was real time. And it was a really good trade. So you might want to go back and look at it. It's been really interesting. But here's something that's interesting about silver. I call them stair steps. We talked about them earlier. So here's our low, green. Here's our low. I could have done this one. I was probably lazy, honestly. Here's our low. Here's our low. Here's a low. What am I showing? Higher highs, right? We're continuing. We really haven't broken that many swing lows. So this right here, folks, is a sell pattern on silver. Period, dot, end of sentence. In fact, it doesn't get any better than that. So in between about 35 and 36 bucks is a sell pattern on silver. If that fails, the sentiment certainly feels like it will. I don't know, right? Then all the way back here from basically when we started to free float silver after Bretton Woods in 1972, I do a big projection up here, down to here, up to here. We have a 0.618 all-time low price projection that's 50 years old, sitting right on a 786. That might be the short on silver, okay? We get through here, this puppy's gone. And the ABCD is much higher. It's up at like 60 bucks, folks, okay? So again, silver, gold, copper, I'm just saying we've got sell patterns, same type of sell patterns that were present with Nvidia and semiconductor index when they were, sorry about that, when they were taking off and crazy. And I think I came on the morning show. I'm like, they might have topped. Folks, just calling it like I see it. These patterns are sell patterns. Okay. Here's gold futures. I played around with it a little bit, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What am I missing here? What am I missing? Now, when I do the projection from $20, see the 0.618 price projection over here? It gapped over it. That's what usually happens with a failed pattern, okay? And we went up to ABCD here. Okay. This is the rock hitting the water, folks, right? We've talked about it. Tops of circles are actually major price projection areas. This is an extension pattern all the way up here, square root of 5. This is some pretty big resistance. Now, we could bang into, remember the 90-degree angle we were talking about? I'm just not throwing it all in, or gold's going to 5,000 yet. Just not there, right? I think gold could be topping. I know it sounds crazy. Work with me. Don't shoot the messenger. Just a pattern guy. But yeah, these are some big candles coming into this level. Obviously, we need to respect that. But that's just not necessarily something I'd want to be long-term gold right now. If you're long down here and here, sure, okay, tighten up your stop and everything. But for now, until we get up above that, let's say 30.50, 30.60 area on gold, gold's precarious, believe it or not. Just a pattern. Patterns fail, folks. I'm trust me, right? So I'm just calling it like I see it. Copper, silver, gold are not out of the woods, not massively bullish yet. We need to watch them, but they could be in a major topping pattern. Okay, that's kind of the chart of the day. So VPU, I got to tell you, this one kind of kicked my butt, and I'll tell you why. But let's just walk through what we have going on and where we're at. It's not one-on-one, Jerry. Gold top stocks up. It doesn't necessarily happen that way, right? Marley, what's up? I think we need to watch GLD for a little bit, right? I'm looking for a weekly or a monthly signal reversal sell, right? Until then, yeah, stay long. But we could be reaching a major top in gold. I know it sounds crazy, and I think it's crazy, but I'm just calling it like I see it. Okay, but yeah, Jerry, it's not necessarily always gold's down, stocks up. They actually move together sometimes too. So yeah, this is utilities. It's a utilities ETF. I just want to kind of show you, kind of how I walk through it. So the first thing is, remember this first low to high, the first move from a low to a high, that's like the rock hitting the water. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, how high, how heavy that rock is, I drop it. Right? As soon as it hits that water, how deep it goes, what's it do? It creates the waves. Okay. And those waves are harmonically intertwined based on musical theory and sacred geometry, something we've proven. Well, you can figure out the frequency, right? And remember this in physics. I think, Jerry, we might have taken physics to the Naval Academy together, but ultimately, wavelength is equal to lambda over time. So basically, you divide this high by that low, which I did, and then you get this 1.9354. That's our fundamental frequency, and there's a lot we can do with that. I'll just leave it at that. But if I take that and I multiply it by that high, I get my first fundamental frequency target, which is this dashed red line, which is right here. Yeah, no kidding, folks. Isn't that crazy? That's all I did. Divide, multiply, bam. Okay. So that's telling me, okay, we should be hitting some resistance, which we are. Okay. The second thing is, notice these red corrective moves. Okay. Copy, paste. Now, I went from the high, that's what this blue line is. I went from the high, boom, down to where the next open was, right? Oh, sorry about that. So it's still harmonic. Okay. And then I took the close and boom. So these all corrective moves have been harmonic. All right. Now, these triangles are representing to me what's called a 3 drives to a top. Is this the top right here? I don't know. It certainly looks like this would be a better top. Okay. And I'm going somewhere with that. The fourth thing I want to look at here is, you see this 2.618? So what I'm trying to find out, this correction here, right? Was this a wave 3 and this was a wave 4 and we're actually 1, 2, and we're going much higher? Or was this a fourth wave, a third, fourth, fifth? That was the top of the third wave. I'm going with that as the top of the third wave right now, purely mathematical. So if you see these dashed orange lines, that is wave 1 is actually equal to 2.618, all right, times wave 1 equals wave 3. And the high is actually 2.71828, which is natural logarithm, which was actually a projection which so far is held for the S&P. So I'm going to just say this is 3, okay, 4, and now we're going 5. I'm biased that we go higher on VPU, but if we get up into this area, sorry about that. If we get up into this area, folks, I'm thinking that it might be time to take some profit if you're long. Again, I don't know if I'd be shorting any of this yet. I definitely want to be waiting for a weekly or a monthly. But what's really, really interesting is if I go from this low at 46.50, okay, I go to this high and I come down and I project, this orange line is our 0.618 price projection. Why is that important? Well, you can see it held. It was the resistance, right? But more importantly, we have not had a close below that. And you can see just recently it's held as support. That's given me a bias that we're going to kind of go up here to the 190s. Where's the ultimate target? 205. Okay. Now, does that necessarily play with what I talked about, the 10-year and rising interest rates and everything? You know what? Not sure. But what I can tell you is we had I think it was 430% increase in interest rates. In fact, we did in 2 years the same amount, okay, of movement in interest rates that we did that took 40 years in 3 years. I think I showed that 2 weeks ago. So interest rates have been going up. This necessarily hasn't been going down, has it? So maybe we could sneak on up into this level. Now, if we get a weekly close below 164, 163, then I think we might be at a pretty important top for VPU and the utilities. But for now, until we got what, $7, till we get a daily, weekly close below that, I really would like it to come up here. Then I think the picture will be more relevant. Okay, so that's VPU. This one kind of kicked my butt. I spent some time on it, folks. So I'm going to tell you my bias is higher. But if we get up into this 190s to 200s, I'd be taking profit, if not outright looking to short it. Okay. And again, that's a 3 drives to a top. You want the 3 drives to a top to be symmetrical. This timing is a monthly. Remember, it's a monthly. So if we get up a little higher into this area in April, this might be a beautiful short based on a 3 drives to a top. So whoever asked about VPU, hopefully that helped you out. Okay. And then, man, we get to have some fun, right? So I was actually, I didn't surf this weekend. We got plowed last week in Southern California with rain. And man, it was a lot of rain. So water quality is something to really to monitor. So anyway, there's a bunch of us who end up, after we go surfing, we go to this place called Buenos Aires. It's great. It's right on the beach. Have a couple beers, pizza. We go surf for like 3 hours. So we all met today, and I met with my friend Andy, and we were just talking about a bunch of stuff. And he came up and he says, "Hey, Bart, have you ever heard of the great filter theory?" And I'm like, "I haven't." And have you ever looked at it, folks? You got to look at it. It's pretty trippy. And the bottom line is this theory, and it's not that old. It's like 20 years old. But basically it's saying that throughout time, it's kind of like the fourth turning. If you ever read that book, I've got it here. That could be on the book club next. There's just so many of these cycles, like the eclipse that happened. I actually got an email from a Vedic astrologer who's up in the Himalayas that was the end of a Hindu like 5,000 year cycle just a couple days ago. So obviously there's a lot going on, and we have drones flying around. But this great filter theory is we get to, throughout time, we get to these points where we're at the verge of blowing ourselves up. You're in Russia, right? Or we're able to push ourselves through and advance to the next level of intelligence. Aliens are supposed to help us with that. By the way, this guy's totally great dude. I was shocked when he was telling me this. But boy, the great filter theory is unbelievable. And so the reason I'm bringing the great filter theory up is on Thursday, I'm going to be on a podcast. It'll take a couple weeks to get published, but I'm going to be on a podcast with Alan Green. And you guys can look it up, of the America Codes. And we're going to be talking about the America Codes. And I mentioned it 2 weeks ago. The fact that our Declaration of Independence, Constitution, and Bill of Rights are all encrypted, no doubt. And in fact, he took all of his work and the 3 original documents, uploaded it into AI, and said, am I seeing this? Am I making this up? And AI came back and said, there's 1 in 1 trillion chance that this is random. America Codes, right? So this great filter theory, I don't know if you guys have seen the UFO of God. We're finding petroglyphs inside the Great Pyramid, on the King's Chamber. There's a lot going on, folks. So yeah, I told you at least once one slide, or at least once during our talks, I'll bring some fun stuff up. So That's where we're at. So let's take a look at what's going on tonight. It's a Sunday night. And there's our gold. So first thing is, this is a 5-minute chart. Look for me over here, right? And our line in the sand for gold, it will be 29.96, 29.94 for tonight. Again, folks, remember, 5-minute chart here. But if this is a major top, don't know if it is, don't know if it isn't. It's just a pattern, folks, right? Then this should hold, and we'll start back down. How are we looking on our yes? All right. So we got to go out. We got to go out here. This one was a nice one. I'll go out to daily. Guys, got any questions? Anybody want me to look at them? All right. So real-time look at ES. Why did we stop where we stopped? This was the largest. Let's go out to a weekly. Oh, here we go. All right. So here's our move from 22. So we're looking at about 2 years, right? And here are the corrective moves. Hello, Mr. Corrective Move. Hello, Mr. Corrective Move. Hello, corrective move. The big thing being, look, it's the exact time, folks. Now, this one took a little longer. And, oh, by the way, it was a little bit shorter. Look at this guy, right? Pretty much the same time. So we just did the same time correction as we did here, okay? Again, think about the XLP. It was already starting to fall out of the sky, right? So it was like, all right, this thing's going to bounce. And so one of the things we always want to look at is the last move up into a high, and we want to extend off of that. And that's what I did here. So this was a 1.732 extension, which is the square root of 3, into that measured move. And oh, by the way, right, if we look at it, it was almost a perfect move down. And so what I look at here, folks, is I look at this. I go, this is 3 waves down. This is 3 waves up. This is 5 waves down. That's a 3-3-5. Was this whole thing just one big corrective move? Right now, we kind of got to go with it, right? We got to kind of go with, yeah, it might have been. So what am I looking to do? Folks, this low needs to hold, right? This 52 to 56 has to hold. Any pullback that's occurring, I'd be looking to buy a 618 or 786 retracement, stop out below here. And at a minimum, I bet we should rally up into 58.40, 58.80. Okay. That's what I'm seeing right now. That should, let's see what the yen's doing. Because I'm watching that thing like a hawk. Why? Because I want to get long yen. So we can project now, right? And we want these things to pull back. We want it to pull back. Bam. Bam. Okay. Now, this whole move, what do we want to look at? Well, we want to look at the biggest corrective move. Right now, it's this guy. Change the color for us. I want to get confused. About blue. There we go. Right? And look at that. Right? So on the yen, we're going to be looking at about 150s, 150.50s, right? So 150 to 150 and a half. That's our big deal. Why? Because that was the biggest corrective move in this whole move down. Why also? Well, we're looking here, right? You can just see it. See that? It's perfect. So this is our demarcation point, and this is what we're looking at. So as we approach 150 to 150 and a half in the end, we should get up there. We never know if we do. Then we kind of go over and look at the NYA, the SPX, the NASDAQ, the Dow, and see if they've done relatively the same, if not actually perfect, corrective moves, right? I personally would like to see one more wave down, and then I look to buy. Right now, I feel like we're kind of in no man's land. But we'll just have to wait and see. Okay. If I see something during the week, I'm going to have to figure out how to work this out with JC. I saw that, Richard. Great question. And maybe I can put something out. Of course. That's a great, yeah, I can take a look at Tesla, Jerry. I will. Richard, that's a great question. How do I do this? If you go to Bart's Charts, we have hit very long-term targets that I was talking about back in July and September. Okay. So that's why I'm like, hey, this could be a big top. But right now we've just air quote finished a normal correction. So you're right, Richard. I've gone out on monthlies and we've hit major targets. That's why I'm like, man, did we just complete a normal correction and now we go to new highs? Or semiconductors, transportation index, NASDAQ, Dow, S&P, they all, Apple, Goldman Sachs. The only one that didn't hit a long-term target, which kind of bummed me out, was XLF, because I really wanted to go up there and hit it and missed it by about $3 or $4. But this whole, if you watch the past 2 weeks, maybe you can go back to the YouTube channel, you'll see that we've hit longer-term targets. So last one I want to take a look. Oh, by the way, remember, we're watching BABA. I want it to come up to here and pull back so we can buy. The other thing we talked about was Ford. Ford hanging in there during this whole sell-off, right? So we're going to want to be long Ford if we can get up above, let's say, $11, $12. But Tesla's really interesting. And I was doing some work on it. So if you've been following me for a while, Barts Charts, all this different stuff, we nailed this buy. It was a perfect price and time square out. Actually nailed this buy. And I was calling this wave 3. And I was like, hey, we're going to go up and make new highs, which we did. Here's where it gets interesting, Jerry. Is this a B wave, right? So here's A, here's B, and we're doing C. Why? Because I'm not counting 1, 2, right? Maybe this is, 1, 2, A, B, C. That's 2, right? Or is this A, B, C, B? So we did an A, B, and we're just doing a C for another move higher. Either way, I can see why we found support here, but we got to come in and look at buy. We have a 618 and a 786 on top of each other. Folks, we want that. We want that, right? Here's the one area we did it from. Here's the other. When 618 and 786 are on top of each other, take notice. Very good. And then we have the measured move, right? And it's basically right there. So yeah, we might bounce up here. I'd love for it to bounce up a little higher and then roll down, and then we can project down. But right now, I'm looking to buy, let's say $1.75 to $1.85 on Tesla. I did the long-term log on it, and we got a lot lower to go, obviously, right? But right now, as long as this holds, Tesla's a buy. But can you see how I saw, like, hey, maybe this is just a B wave. I'm not seeing a full 5-wave pattern completing here. So it can't be the 5th wave. I believe we are in a 5th wave, but this might be one big correction and off we go up much higher. So hopefully that helps you out. Right now, I wouldn't do anything. I'd want it. Let's will it. It knows we're out there. $1.75, $1.85. We need to be looking at buying it. Yeah, I wanted to thank you for reminding me of that one because I had that one queued up. And here's the daily, right? So you see, like, this really isn't 5 waves down, right? So this could be 1, 2, and now we're in a 3rd wave down. But this is our level here. That'll really tell us where Tesla's at. I'm just not seeing a full 5 waves up to call this complete. And maybe it's a B wave. We go down here to a C, and off we go. So that one's a tough one. But I definitely look to buy it. And at a minimum, you might be able to get 10, 20, $30 on the bounce. So totally cool. Yeah, you got it, bro. No problem. All right. FCX real quick, and then we're going to wrap it up. You guys are awesome. Give me some feedback. I love the emails you guys sent. It's almost exactly like Tesla, right? This right here, right? This looks corrective. I know that sounds crazy, right? Bam. Check that out, right? So I would look, I would look to buy it because we're in a correction, right? But I would look to buy it down here. Yeah. See how we made 3 waves to a new high? So if we can get down into here, Bart at bartscharts.com, JB. This is what I love. They're called expanded flat corrections. And they fake you out, right? Because they do 3 waves, they make a little bit of new high, and then they crash. So look at this. 1, 2, 3. Man, if we can stop 4, 5 and get down to here, I'd look at buying it. And I think this whole thing was a correction. So, all right, you guys, thanks for joining me. Spence, we got all of the microphones and the cameras all set up. We're going to keep doing this. Hit me anytime you guys want. And man, I really appreciate y'all joining, and hopefully this has been helpful. Bluff. My bias is we're bouncing, going a little bit higher. I want another leg down. Why? So we can project, right? But man, that Nvidia chart, yeah, that looks pretty sweet. So my bias this week is a little bit higher. Remember, we had an eclipse. We actually had Mercury go retrograde the same day. We have another eclipse in about 2 weeks. So maybe we rally for 10 days, 2 weeks, and then we roll over. But I'm not fully bullish. The game is on until we might be able to get one more. All right. You got it, Marley. Jerry, you guys are awesome. Cool, Kevin. I'm just here to help. It's a lot of fun. And Spence, let's all thank Spence because he helped me out on a Sunday night. And if you guys like this format, let us know. Let JC know. Let Spence know. But the bottom line is we're just trying to get everybody ready for the week. And no one's really doing this on a Sunday. So there's the yen. I'm going to take one last look, you guys. ES. It's no man's land right now, folks. This is probably what it wants to do right here. All right. But for now, that's kind of where we're at. All right. All right, you guys. Thanks. Barts Charts, hit me. And have a great week.